welcome. First of all, I want to say thank you for being a part of GCC. We've been through some interesting times over the past 13 weeks. Can you believe it? 13 weeks. It's been 13 weeks since we've been able to gather, and we decided to take all services online for the purpose of public safety. We look forward to regathering again on Sunday, June 14th at 10 a.m. If you are wondering about what to expect as we regather, you can check our coronavirus updates page at the website that's going to be on the screen right below me. Today we are announcing our comprehensive phased regathering plan. This time of COVID has been one of uncertainty and change. It seems as though every day things are changing and the recommendations change just as fast. We put together a regathering task force of members at GCC to formalize this plan for regathering. We also utilized the most recent Centers for Disease Control guidelines for places of worship, as well as Oakland County and State of Michigan guidelines. We've consulted medical professionals and local governmental authorities. At the onset, I'd like to say that we're fully aware that in a situation like this, not everyone's going to agree with every decision that is made. We are making the best decisions we can with the information that we have in order to create the best environment possible for us to regather to worship together and fellowship with one another. Things will not look the same for some time. I can't stress that enough. Things will not look the same for some time. Know that we are continually monitoring medical and governmental authority recommendations. As the environment changes, we will change with it as we are able. So let's dive in. As we begin, I want you to know that you can download a PDF of the entire phased regathering plan on this page, just below the video. Let's take an overall look at the plan first. As you can see here, we've got 4 phases. Phase 1 is distancing. That's our distancing phase. We've been in that stage since March 15th. That was phase 1. Phase 2 is our limited phase. This is the phase that we are currently moving into June 14th. Phase 3 is modified. Phase 4 is launching. Let's talk about each phase. Phase 1 was distancing, and we can see that here. During this phase, we took action to promote public health and safety according to health and government guidelines and orders. You'll see at the beginning of at the top of each slide, there's a benchmark. Oakland County phase 1 to 3. These phases are found in the Michigan Safe Start Plan that was published by our state officials. Know that while we've used this as a benchmark, we will move within guidelines at the time, as well as through God's leading. Things have been moving quickly, and we're moving as quickly as we can through this process. So just because a benchmark is met doesn't mean that we will do everything immediately. We'll do the best we can to move. This is our goals, all right? Social distancing was strict during phase 1. Strict social distancing is defined for our purposes as a minimum of 6 feet between people and no physical contact with people outside of your household. Vulnerable populations were asked to stay home in all instances. Please visit the web address at the bottom of the screen that you see here to see the Centers for Disease Control definition of vulnerable populations. As you can see in this phase, we went to complete online ministry. This phase was during the biggest spread and new cases were rising significantly. And so we had strict distancing, the vulnerable population stayed home. We could have met in a group or a crowd of 10, but we didn't. We closed it. We made sure we weren't meeting. We moved everything online. Worship gathering was online. Children was virtual videos and handouts. Groups online or outside under 10, but all of our groups were larger than that. So we didn't have our groups meet except for online. And students are online, office staff, the building was closed for the most part except for essential things, which is giving food to the homeless. That's pretty essential, but we followed strict guidelines there as well. And the staff was off site, the worship team was closed, and all ministry events were postponed at that time. So that was phase 1. We are now moving to phase 2, which is our limited phase, because Oakland County is in phase 4 of our state phased plan. Social distancing is still strict. We want you to understand that. When you read all the guidelines for the grand opening of our service, or I should say our regathering, you will see that our strict social distancing guidelines are still in effect for phase 2. Vulnerable populations, as previously defined, are encouraged to stay home during phase 2 as well. Outdoor gatherings of 100 are now happening. Thus, we are gathering outdoors starting Sunday, June 14th. We will maintain our live stream throughout all of these phases for those that are not yet comfortable gathering and for those that are in the vulnerable population segment. Children's ministry will continue with virtual videos and handouts. Community groups and classes can meet outdoors. Again, with that 100 or less ability to meet, groups and classes can meet outdoors. There will still be some that are going to choose to meet online or some hybrid of that. 412 Youth will continue to meet online with some possible outdoor meetings this summer. You'll get more information about that. The building is now open to essential members ministries only, so that is still limited to the lunches on Saturday and staff work and that kind of stuff. It's not open to anything beyond that. Worship team will lead worship with social distancing guidelines, moderate meaning at least 6 feet apart on stage. And then finally, ministry events that can take place online will do so. That's phase 2. Phase 3 is our modified phase. That's what we hope to be moving to in the future. Phase 3 becomes possible once Michigan moves Oakland County to phase 5 of the state plan. Social distancing is limited and will still be strongly encouraged. It's not going to be as strict, but we're still going to strongly encourage that. We'll still encourage masks, and we will follow guidelines at that time. Vulnerable populations will be encouraged to continue to stay home and engage with ministries online unless there is sufficient data and state or local guidelines that would change that fact. The group size will be increased beyond 100. That's what we anticipate, but it'll still be limited. We don't know what that'll look like. We will take into consideration the new guidelines and the recommendations presented by medical and government officials at that time. Our worship gathering has the potential to move indoors in phase 3. At least that is what we anticipate. While that is a possibility, we may not move indoors immediately in phase 3, as there are other circumstances that are very particular to us here at GCC. We're considering options for meeting at our temporary location as we were before this crisis, as well as other options. We will keep you informed as we go along. Children's ministry will continue with virtual videos and handouts. Groups can now have a normal schedule and meet in person and online, with each group determining what is best for them. 412 Youth will have the options of more limited activities that will be announced at that time. The office will return to more normal operations. The worship team will continue moderate social distancing, and more ministry events will occur and will be modified. Right now, we are currently looking at an online Vacation Bible School model that you'll get more information about in the near future. Phase 4, finally, is our launching stage. We will move to phase 4 when the state of Michigan moves Oakland County to phase 6 of the state plan. This is a fully open state for GCC. You can see that everything is back to pretty much a regular schedule that may have happened before this crisis. However, I do want to state that it doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to look the same as it did before the crisis. Many things have changed, and many things will change as we continue to move through these phases. It's also allowed for some rethinking of how church works and how ministry works and how the church is actually the people in the community, not just meeting on Sunday. And so there's going to be some things that might be different as we move forward. While we anticipate moving forward through these phases, we can move forward or backward in these phases, depending upon the conditions surrounding the spread of COVID-19, along with CDC, State of Michigan, and the Oakland County Health Department recommendations and/or orders. So I do want to make sure you know that. Our anticipation is to move forward in this, but we might have to move backwards in this, depending upon how conditions are. As I close today, I just want to say that through all of this, we really need to show each other a ton of grace. We need to love each other well. Love must be at the forefront. There will be those that will return to gather right away. There will be some that won't return for a while, and I want you to know that's okay wherever you are on that continuum. The biggest thing is that we connect with one another in meaningful ways, no matter where we stand. If you choose not to attend, that's great, that's okay. But don't take that to mean that you're not going to connect. We all have to be intentional. Maybe if we see someone who hasn't been attending, we give them a call, we shoot them an email to say they've been missed. Let's be intentional. Let's be understanding. Let's show the love of Jesus to one another. As always, if you have any questions, please get in touch with me at the contact information that you'll see on the screen. Finally, let me leave you with this. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. I look forward with excitement to what God has for us at GCC. I hope you do too.